Okay, hi all. This is the last topic to be covered for this course. It's about externalities. I'm going to explain what's an externality in a minute. So what's an what are you going to do in this chapter is what's an externality? Why do externalities make market outcomes inefficient? What public policies aim to solve the problem of externalities, and how can people sometimes solve the problem of externalities on their own? Why do such private solutions not always work? Okay, one of the principles that we covered in chapter 1 is markets are usually a good way to organize economic activity. In absence of market failures, the competitive market outcome is efficient, maximizes total surplus. Okay. One type of market failure is, we are going to cover this, one of the market failure in this chapter. It's an externality. The uncompensated impact of one person's actions on the well-being of a bystander. Okay, so what are the examples for the externalities I'm going to give in a minute. Externalities can be negative or positive depending on whether impact on bystanders is adverse or beneficial. Okay, so self-interested buyers and sellers neglect the external costs or benefits of their actions, so the market outcome is inefficient. So another principle from chapter 1 is governments can sometimes improve market outcomes. In presence of externalities, public policy can improve efficiency. Examples of negative externality. Let's give these examples first. Air pollution from an activity. Okay, factories' main aim is to produce something, but while producing, it's gonna pollute. It's gonna affect people negatively. The neighbor's barking dog, late night stereo blasting from the dorm room next to yours, noise pollution from construction projects, health risk to others from secondhand smoke, or the current COVID-19 situations. If someone doesn't wear a mask, it's gonna affect you negatively. Not wearing a mask. And talking on cell phone while driving makes the roads less safe for others. Okay, so let's look at how is the effect of externality in a market. So let's look at the market for gasoline. Okay, so this is the demand curve, shows private value, the value to buyers, the prices they are willing to pay. Okay, and this is the supply. The supply curve shows private cost, the cost directly incurred by sellers. Okay, while mentioning about the markets, demand and supplies mean that. How about when we have externality? How do we include them to these curves? Okay, the market equilibrium maximizes consumer surplus and producer surplus, and market price is 2.5 in here. Market quantity is 25. Okay, analysis of a negative externality. Now, supplies curve is just private cost, but there is also external cost, the value of negative impact of bystanders. Okay, and with this external cost, there will be together with the private cost, we're going to have the social cost. Private plus external cost is going to give you social cost. Okay, and then if we draw the demand curve, okay, you are going to see that this demand curve and this new social cost curve intersects at a point in which quantity is lower and price is higher. So the social optimal quantity is 20 gallons. Okay, so if the society is caring about social optimum amount, not the private optimum amount, it should produce less. Okay, at any quantity which is lower than 20, value of additional gas exceeds social cost. Okay, at 20 they are equal, but at any quantity that's bigger than 20, social cost of the last gallon is greater than its value for the society. Then it shouldn't be produced. market equilibrium is 25 when is greater than the social optimum, okay, in which there will be a deadweight loss due to that, okay. One solution to solve this problem, okay, not to produce at the market equilibrium because there is a cost from there, tax sellers $1 per gallon would shift supply curve up by $1. So our new supply curve will be this green line. Okay. Internalizing the externality, okay, altering incentives so that people take account of the external effects of their actions. In our example is $1 per gallon tax on sellers makes sellers cost equal to the social cost. Okay, when market participants must pay social cost, then market equilibrium will be equal to the social cost. Imposing the task on buyers would achieve the same outcome. Market quantity would equal to the optimal, social optimal quantity. Okay, how about positive externality? Being vaccinated against contagious diseases protects not only you, but people who visit the salad bar or produce section after you. Okay, again, with the COVID-19 example, there's a question of getting vaccine nowadays. Okay, so in order to achieve the herd immunity, or like in order to be safe in the society, everybody should be vaccinated. Okay, so then a person who is not vaccinated is gonna affect you as well. Okay, to be safe, not only to be safe by yourself depends on others' vaccination. Okay, research and development creates knowledge others can use. Okay, and then people going to college raise the population's education level, which reduces crime and improves government. Positive externalities. In the presence of positive externality, the social value of good includes private value, the direct value to the buyers, and external benefit, the value of the positive impact on bystanders. The social optimal quantity maximizes welfare. At any lower Q, the social value of additional quantity exceeds their costs. At any higher Q, the cost of last unit exceeds the social value. Okay, so for instance, in here, the positive externality, okay, so this demand is giving you private value on buyers. We are going to add this social benefit as well. Okay, demand will shift to the right in order to find the social optimal level. Okay, so this 20 is going to give you the market equilibrium. But remember in here, with the positive externality, production is lower than the social optimal amount level. Okay, external benefit is $10 per shot. So draw social value curve. You're going to shift this demand curve $10 above, okay, and find social optimum Q. What policy would internalize this positive externality? So social value equal to the private value of $10 plus $10 external benefits. So you're going to shift this demand curve by 10. Okay, so this red line is the external benefit. Okay, and a new social value, green line, and the supply curve intersects at Q equals 25. And to internalize the externality, the government can use a subsidy. Okay, so it can give $10 to the people who gets vaccinated. Okay, effects of externalities summary. If negative externality, market quantity is larger than social desirable, in order to decrease, then government can use taxes. If positive externality, market quantity is smaller than social desirable, in order to increase the amount, government can use subsidies. To remedy the problem, internalize the externality, tax goods with negative externalities, subsidize goods with the positive externalities. Okay. And public policy toward externalities, there are two approaches. Command and control policies regulate behavior directly. For instance, limits on quantity of pollution emitted and requirements that firms adopt a particular technology to reduce emissions. There's also market-based policies, provide incentives so that private decision makers will choose to solve the problem on their own, for instance, corrective taxes and subsidies or tradable pollution permits. Okay. Corrective taxes and subsidies. Corrective tax is a tax designed to induce private decision makers to take account of the social costs that arise from negative externality. So this is also called Pigouin taxes after Arthur Pigou. The ideal corrective tax is equal to the external cost. And for activities with positive externalities, ideal corrective subsidy is external benefit. Okay. Other taxes and subsidies distort incentives and move economy away from the social optimum level. So corrective taxes and subsidies align private incentives with society's incentives and make private decision makers take into account the external costs and benefits of their actions. Okay, and move economy toward a more efficient allocation of resources. Okay. What are the regulations, corrective taxes versus regulations? Different firms have different cost of pollution abatement. Efficient outcomes is firms with lowest abatement costs reduce pollution the most. A pollution tax is efficient. Firms with low abatement costs will reduce pollution to reduce their tax burden. Firms with high abatement costs have a greater willingness to pay the tax. Okay, so this abatement is doing something to reduce the pollution. Okay, in contrast, a regulation requiring all firms to reduce pollution by a specific amount, not efficient. Okay, corrective taxes are better for the environment. The corrective tax gives firms incentive to continue reducing pollution as long as the cost of doing so is less than the tax. Okay. If a cleaner technology becomes available, the tax gives firms an incentive to adopt it. In contrast, firms have no incentive for further reduction beyond the level specified in a regulation. Okay. And the gas targets three negative externalities. Congestion, the more you drive, the more you contribute to the congestion. Accidents, larger vehicles cause more damage in an accident. And pollution, burning fossil fuels reduces greenhouse gases. So tradable pollution permits. A tradable pollution permit system reduces pollution at lower cost than the regulation. Firms with low cost of reducing pollution sell whatever permits they can, and firms with high cost of reducing pollution buy permits. Results, pollution reduction is concentrated among those firms with lowest costs. How about in the real world? So this SO2 permits traded in US since 1995, nitrogen oxide permits traded in northern eastern US since 1999, and carbon emissions permits traded in Europe since 2005. And as of 2008, Barack Obama and John McCain each proposed cap and trade systems to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, so these permits and tradable pollution things are happening in the real world as well. So like most demand curves, firms' demand for the ability to pollute is a downward sloping function of price of polluting. So a corrective tax raises this price and thus reduces the quantity of pollution firms demand. A tradable permit systems restricts the supply of pollution rights, has the same effect as the tax. When policymakers do not know the position of this demand curve, the permit system achieves pollution reduction targets more precisely. Okay. And some politicians, meaning environmentalists, argue that no one should be able to buy the right to pollute, cannot put a price on the environment. However, people face trade-off. The value of clean air and water must be compared to their costs. And the market-based approach reduces the cost of environmental production, so it should increase the public demands for a clean environment. Okay, what's the private solution to the externalities? Types of private solutions is moral costs and social sanctions. These are called as golden rule. And charities and contracts between market participants and the affected bystanders. So there's something called as cost theorem. If private parties can costlessly bargain over the allocation of resources, they can solve the externalities problem on their own. For instance, consider a dog named as Spot, and the owner's name is Dick. So there's a negative externality of this dog. Spot's barking disturbs Jane, who's Dick's neighbor. And socially efficient outcome maximizes Dick's and Jane's well-being. Consider it like this, okay? If Dick values having Spot more than Jane values peace and quiet, so the dog should stay, okay? Cost theorem is telling you the private market will reach the efficient outcome on its own, okay? So case one, for instance, Dick has the right to keep Spot. So suppose benefit of having Spot is 500, okay? And cost to Jane of Spot's parking is 800. And how are we gonna solve this problem? If Jane gives 600 to Dick, so Dick is gonna get rid of the dog, okay? Socially efficient outcome is, since Jane is disturbed by this Spot's barking more, she wants to get rid of the dog. She's willing to give more money to Dick so that he's gonna get rid of the dog. So private outcome, Jane pays Dick 600 to get rid of Spot. Both Jane and Dick are better off, okay? So private outcome is equal to the efficient outcome, okay? So cost theorem is telling you this, if they are able to bargain, okay? But in the real case, we don't know people's valuations or cost, and they may not tell the truth while stating those, okay? So it may not be possible to solve these problems easily. Okay, for instance, case two, Dick has the right to keep the Spot. So benefit to Dick of having Spot is 1,000, and cost to Jane Spot's parking is 800. Socially efficient outcome is Spot stays. So private outcome, Jane not willing to pay more than 800 and Dick not willing to accept less than 1,000, so Spot stays. Private outcome equals to the efficient outcome, okay? So case three, Jane has the legal right to peace and quiet. Benefit of Dick of having Spot is 800, and cost to Jane of Spot's parking is 500. Socially efficient outcome is Dick keeps the Spot. And private outcome is Dick pays Jane 600 to put up its Spot's parking. And then again, private outcome is equal to the efficient outcome. So the private market achieves the efficient outcome regardless of initial distribution of the rights, okay? Transaction costs, the costs parties incur in the process of agreeing to and following through on a bargain, These costs may make it impossible to reach a mutual beneficial agreement and stubbornness. Even if a beneficial agreement is possible, each party may hold out for a better deal. And coordination problems. If number of parties is very large, coordinating them may be costly, difficult, or impossible. So in this chapter, we saw an externality occurs when a market transaction affects third party. If the transaction yields negative externalities like pollution, the market quantity exceeds socially optimal quantity. So in order to reduce this, government put taxes, okay? If the externality is positive, like technology spillovers or education, higher education, and the market quantity falls short of the social optimum, in this case, government can subsidize, okay, the market. Sometimes people can solve externalities on their own. The cost theorem states that the private market can reach the social optimal allocation of resources as long as people can bargain without cost. In practice, bargaining is often costly and difficult, and cost theorem doesn't apply. Okay. The government can attempt to remedy the problem. It can internalize the externality using corrective taxes. It can issue permits to polluters and establish a market where permits can be traded. Such policies often protect the environment at a lower cost to society than direct regulation. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions.